Hello friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather and today we're going to be talking about some more summer book recommendations. So this is the third part in this series. The first part talked about some romance and contemporary reads that were my summer book recommendations. Then we talked about some mysteries and thrillers that are perfect for the summer. And now we're going to talk about some fantasy and sci-fi picks that I think would be really great to read in the summertime. Before we get started, go ahead and get down below, click the subscribe button. Also, my Goodreads and Instagram are down below if you want to check any of that stuff out. And we are going to start with one of my favorite things to read in the summer, and that is a couple of circus books. I'm actually working on reading a couple more this month, so I'm hoping to add to this list, but I just think like something about the summer and circus, it just meshes and mashes, and I don't know what meshes is, but you know, they go together, and I just love books that involve a circusy type theme, and so I've got a few for you guys. One of the obvious ones definitely is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This one's talked about quite a bit on BookTube, but like I love this book. It is so well written and intricate. The story is it's so interesting, and the circus is amazing. Like we're basically following these two, I guess you could call them like illusionists or magicians. Anyways, they like create all of these different tents within the circus, and they have all these different displays and things going on, and they are just so imaginative, and I don't know, I really need to reread this book because it was just so wonderful. So basically these two illusionists are in this secret competition against each other, and they don't realize who each other is, and it's just you're following from each of their perspectives, but then we also have a few other perspectives in here, and the circus is just amazing, and the writing's amazing, and the atmosphere in this book is just beautiful, and I don't even know what else to say. Just, it's a really stunning circus book. Very beautiful. This next book wasn't one of my personal favorites, but I still enjoyed it, and I am wanting to continue in the series, and a lot of people have truly loved it, and that is Where Dreams Descend. And in this one, I feel like I wanted a little more circusy to it. So we're following Kalia, and she is like this performer at this club, and she ends up getting away, and she wants to join this magic competition, but she's like the only woman, and really, so Kalia wants to win this competition, and then we have DeMarco, and there's a little bit maybe of a fling going on there. And we're basically following her as she's trying to make up her acts for this magic show, and then she gets to perform. I believe she's winning a spot into the circus, basically. There is a little bit of circusy fun going on in here. There's like a traveling service that comes into this town. There's a mystery around this town and why it's going downhill, and there's like her old master at the last place that she was performing at, he thinks that she's in danger and shouldn't be there. And there's definitely like this air of like mysteriousness, and you're just not really sure what's going on. And I think that's where I got a little frustrated, because I had so many questions. I was getting into this book, and I was just like, what? Oh, this could go here, and this could go there. I like tabbed a good chunk of stuff, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like how is this all going to come together? And then like at the end, I felt like I got no answers to anything at all. And I was like, I needed answers to something. So I really want to read the next book to figure out what happened, like what's going on in this book. And my last circusy type recommendation for you guys is the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber. We have Caraval's the first one, then Legendary, then Finale. I guess I kind of have them upside down. But I really enjoyed this series. I just finished it this year, and it is so much fun. We are following Scarlett and her sister Tella, and they are invited to this island by Legend, and basically he puts on this show every year, and usually he moves it around, and he's never done it on his own island where he like, you know, dreams all these things up and makes everything up. And so this year he ends up kidnapping Tella, and everybody has to figure out where she is, and that's like the prize. So once they find her, whoever wins gets a wish from legend. And Caraval is like the most fun, magical experience. It's basically an audience participation game, and there's like these cool different shops, and there's like a fortune teller, and just all this really fun stuff, and you're trying to figure out, you know, what's going on, and you have to remember that it's just a game, but you're really questioning a lot of times like what you're seeing and what the heck is this actually a game. And yeah, the magic in it is just, it's so mysterious and mystical and fun, and I adored it. So I would definitely check that one out. And so that's kind of my circus seat recommendation. Okay, so another thing that I think is great for the summertime is getting into some maybe chunkier books or a series, and just like, hey, I'm gonna like binge my way through a series this summer, and I just want to enjoy kind of getting through a full like long story or whatever. So I've got some of that for you guys. So this next one I just finished, and it was so good. Oh my gosh, Legendborn was amazing. I was not expecting to love this story as much as I did. I could not stop turning pages. I wanted to just become one with this book. I truly did. So in this book, we are following Bree, and her mom has just passed away, and she is moving into these dorms at a college, but she's there for early college. So she's only like 16, and she's going to finish up her high school at the college. She kind of takes college classes to finish, kind of a thing. Anyways, one night she's out and she sees like this weird being and these people like killing it, and she's like, what is happening? And they try to erase her memory, but it does not work. And so she finds out about the secret society that's on campus that basically is all these descendants from King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and she kind of gets enveloped into that, and finds out maybe a little bit more about her mom's death and what's going on there. And it just had all of the things. Like, it was so intriguing, and it was just like fast paced, and I just wanted to keep going, and I was like, what? And it also has this game element where you have these trials to get into the secret society and be inducted in, and you know, we've got a lot of intrigue into figuring out more about Bree and her family and what's going on there, and why she's, you know, why she could remember when it should have erased her memory. And it was so beautiful. And I remember thinking towards the end, I was like, this book is so good, there's nothing that could take it down from a 5-star. And it didn't. Like, this was a 5-star for sure. But like, somehow it like got even better, and I was just like, how did this happen? The ending was just, it was incredible, and everything you could want it to be. It was just, this book is awesome. Why a summer read? I don't know, but just because it was awesome, and I just think you should read it. Okay, so we'll talk about one that is set in a little bit more of like a hot, sticky, summery type setting, and that's why this one's kind of fun and works in there. That's Goddess in the Machine by Laura Beth Johnson. This is a YA sci-fi, and I just thought it was really good as kind of someone who's still kind of getting into the sci-fi genre and learning more about sci-fi. I think this was a really good introduction. We're following Andra, and she is put into a cryonic sleep. She's supposed to, I always forget how many years. So she's basically supposed to be taking this trip across the galaxy and wake up in 100 years. And she ends up waking up in 1,000 years, and everyone around her is calling her goddess, and she doesn't know anybody, and everybody that she was going with is like gone and dead, and she's just like, what is going on? Where am I? And so it is set like in a kind of desert area. It's hot, it's sticky, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And we have Zaid, and he is the one who has awoken her, and he kind of needs her help as well. Back in his home city, he needs to take down the reigning king, I believe it is. And so there's some stuff going on there. I will say, like, I really enjoyed a piece of the writing that other people have had a little bit of a struggle with. Basically, so think of 1,000 years ago, so back in the year 1020, and did they speak the same way that we speak now? No. language has changed. It's still like we can pick it up and we can figure it out, but it's going to take a little bit for us to process it, and we don't talk in the same way. So in this book, she has, from Zaid's perspective, he does talk a little bit differently, and the people who live here, they talk differently because it is 1,000 years later and things have just changed. And I felt like after a couple of chapters of it, I was able to just kind of pick it up, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can read this easily and I can pick it up pretty easily. But it did take a couple chapters to like get all of the kind of just off wording in a certain way. But I thought it was very creative and interesting. So another book that would be amazing to read, especially like if you're on like a beach or something, but just anytime. This book is just like full of sunshine and beautifulness and wonderfulness, and it's a standalone, so you don't have like a longer series, I guess, with this one, although that's kind of where I was headed with some of these, but that's okay. This one is The House in the Cerulean Sea. If you have not read this book yet, please read it. It is incredible. It is like just seriously like a dose of sunshine to your soul. It is amazing. We're following Linus, and he works for the Department of Magical Youth, something like that. Basically, he goes out to these orphanages where these kids live that have some kind of magical ability to them, or they're like some kind of magical creature or something. And he makes sure that they're doing good, they're okay, everything's being run correctly, that kind of thing. So he gets tasked with this very confidential home that is full of these kids that are like considered to be like the most dangerous of magical kids or whatever. And it's out on this island in the Cerulean Sea. And he's going to stay there for a month. And oh my gosh, it's just like you just fall in love with these kids and their caretaker, Arthur, and we have a little bit of a romance between him and Linus, and just like, oh my gosh, you just love them all. And then, you know, they take trips into town and you see kind of some of the prejudice that people have towards these kids, but they're just like, they're just kids. Like, oh, don't judge them, and you just want to hold them. I think Chauncey is probably my favorite. He's like this little jelly blob kind of guy who wants to be a bellhop, and oh my gosh, just so stinking cute. I need to reread this one too, but it would be perfect for the summer because it's set in like this island in this beautiful sea, and it's incredible. So I need to read it. Please read it. So moving back into some series that you could read or at least start. I guess the ones that I've talked about so far, technically this is the only book so far in them, so sorry about that. But the City of Brass series is completed, so you could finish this one, and it is a really fun series, and the books are pretty chunky and it can take you some time and get you going for the summer. Okay, so this one is definitely set, it's like out in like Egypt and out in the deserts out there, and it's hot and sticky and sweaty, and so setting is perfect. And then we're talking about Jin, which I feel like, I don't know, it just works. It's a very summery read, I feel like. But we are following Nari, and she is a con woman where she's from. Basically, she tells people that she can kind of like heal them in different ways, and she does different stuff to kind of get by. And she's never really fully believed in magic, but she does have some certain abilities. She just doesn't think too much of them. And so then one day she accidentally summons a Jin, and things just kind of go crazy from there. And he's like, you're coming with me, and they go off to the City of Brass where his kind all live, and there's like 6 different tribes, and there definitely some resentments and crazy stuff going on between these tribes. And it is very intriguing. There's a lot of like weird political alignment stuff between all these different tribes, and you're trying to like figure out who you actually like, and do you want to, you know, believe in this Jin over here because he's doing some things that you like, but some things that you don't, but everybody else is doing the same thing, so you're just really questioning like who the heck is actually a good person here and who is not. And Nari's trying to figure out like being a part of this world, and she's like, this is all new to me, and she's trying to figure out, you know, her different abilities and who to trust, and what she wants to do as well. And it's a good one. It's very interesting, and the series, like I said, is completed. It's a trilogy, so you could definitely just bury into this one. Another series that you could get into, this one has 2 books out. The third one's coming out, I don't know exactly when, but the first 2 are in the like 500-page range, I believe. So that's going to be the Foundry Side series, and this series is by Robert Jackson Bennett, and we're following Sansia. She is a thief, and she is tasked with stealing this artifact, and it's a little bit trickier of a task for her, but nobody else could do it because they don't have her abilities. She's very skilled as a thief, but she's also stealing this artifact that she doesn't realize how much power it has and how it could change scribing in this world. And scribing is basically where they imbue a everyday object to do something with a little bit more of a magical ability. And so like say they have a carriage with the wheels, and they tell the wheels, oh, you're going downhill. So then they think that they're moving, and so they'll just drive themselves. So that's kind of like an example of scribing in this world. So she kind of ends up getting some attention from some people that she doesn't want to, because she steals this item, and she doesn't realize like how revolutionary this item can be. And it's very interesting. There's some really great characters. The world building in here is amazing. I have never come across a book that has this kind of magic system either. Like, it is a very unique magic system, but it's well explained and you understand it, and you're just like, wow, this is, I don't know, it's a very well thought through, explained book, but then it's full of action and intrigue, so you're still moving through it well, so you kind of have both elements, and it's wonderful. I definitely would pick up this series for sure. So the next series we're going to talk about does only have 1 book out. Again, sorry about that. But that's going to be Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I have mixed feelings about this book, but I do feel like it's kind of summary. I feel like it's set in kind of a summary area. We also have one of the perspectives is like on a pirate ship boat, so I don't know, for me, pirates in the summer, it works for me. One of the struggles for me was that this followed 4 different points of view throughout the book. So I feel like as the books keep going, we're going to get more from those perspectives. I think that it can really come together to be really incredible and amazing. We're basically following this city, and it's coming up on a celestial event. So basically the winter solstice is also colliding with the solar eclipse, which like almost never happens, and it's a very unbalancing type of event in this world. And so we're following like the sun priest in this land, and there's like different tribes, and they all have some little different stuff going on that they may not always get along, but the sun priest is supposed to be kind of the guiding government and over all of them. And then we have, outside of Toba, a very interesting perspective, Serapio, and he is getting on this ship with Zyala as the captain, and they are coming over to Toba, and Zyala is tasked with basically making sure that her passenger, Serapio, gets there. And that was my favorite perspective, was Zyala's perspective. She is Teak, and she has some certain abilities, and I just found her very interesting, and I enjoyed being on the ship with her. And then we're getting some background on Serapio, and he is basically going to be this like sun god, I believe it was, and he has like, his eyes are like sewn shut, and like, or crow god, I think it's a crow god. And we're all like, basically all of these different perspectives are coming and converging together into the solar eclipse, and something big happening there. And it's very interesting. There's a lot of really good world building, and the story is going to go somewhere, and I know it is. It's just, there was a lot of perspectives, and so you're kind of, I feel like this book is very much the build-up for the rest of it, but I've never read a book or story that's quite like this. It's very unique and different to me. It just has it's just a very different storyline. I don't know how to explain it any more than that, but I would recommend checking it out and picking it up, because I do think it does something different, and you're gonna like some of the perspectives, you're not gonna like other ones, but that's just the way it's gonna be. And I'm pretty sure that the next book's gonna be like really picking up some steam. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the Wayward Children series. These are actually short books, so maybe when you just want to sit down and just finish a quick little book. But there's 5 books in the series out right now, I believe. Okay, so there are 6 books out in the series, and there will be a 7th book. And then I think there's a couple, like, in between, even shorter story books within this as well. I haven't read those ones yet, but I love these stories. They are following these kids that they basically find a doorway into another world, and then somehow they end up back in our world, but they want to get back to their worlds. They feel like they fit there better, and so they all end up coming to this school that Eleanor has put together, and it's basically a home for these wayward children until they can hopefully find their door back. I think the first book is set at the school. Most of the other books were following into some of these different characters' worlds, and they're all so different and unique in the characters, the worlds that they go to. Like, one of them is like a goblin market. One of them, you have like vampires and this like town and a mad scientist, like Frankenstein kind of deal going on. And then we have Candyland, pretty much. That one's my favorite, Beneath the Sugar Sky. We go into Suki's world and candy everywhere. Like, I just loved it. I don't know. It was fun. So I adore these stories. I think they're really fun and magical. They have this like certain writing to them that's just like magical. It's just lyrical and fun, and I love Sean McGuire's writing in these books, and they can just transport you into other worlds, and they're just light and fun and fluffy, and they just would work. I feel like, especially too, I don't know why, but I get similar vibes between House in the Cerulean Sea and the Wayward Children series, or Caraval in the Wayward Children series. I feel like writing-wise, Caraval and the Wayward Children series are kind of similar. House in the Cerulean Sea and the Wayward Children series just in their like magicalness, but House in the Cerulean Sea is definitely more happy, and the Wayward Children series is definitely a little bit darker. But yeah, I don't know, I see connections between some of those, I guess. So anyways, those are going to be my suggestions for some fantasy reads for you guys that you should read this summer. And I hope that if you haven't watched the other 2 videos in the series that you will go back and do so. I'll make sure to have them down below and up above for you guys. And we will talk soon, so don't forget to subscribe. Bye!